The 1 Year Bible Storybook by Virginia J. Muir. Today's story comes from Genesis chapter 24. Isaac needs a wife. Sarah lived quite a few more years after Isaac was born. But when she was 127 years old, she died. Abraham and Isaac had loved her, and they missed her very, very much. Abraham bought some land from a man in Ephron. There he buried Sarah. Isaac was now a grown man, and he was thinking about getting married. Abraham didn't want him to marry one of the women who lived there in Canaan because they didn't love God and worship God. So he decided to send his oldest and most trusted servant to look for the kind of person that Isaac should marry. Abraham knew he had many relatives where he used to live, and among them would be the right wife for his son. The servant said, "If the woman won't come here, shall I take Isaac back to marry her there?" "No," Abraham answered. "God told me that this is where we should live, and Isaac must stay here. If she won't come, I will forgive you for not being able to bring your promise. But please try to bring back a good wife for Isaac." So the servant promised to do his very best. He took many fine gifts with him and started his journey back to the place where Abraham's relatives lived. As our story continues, the right wife from Isaac. The servant arrived at Abraham's brother's Nahor's village in the evening. He stopped near a well and had his camels kneel down. As he watched the women of the village come out to draw up water from the well, he asked God to help him find one who would be a good wife for Isaac. He decided on a test. He would ask one of them to give him a drink of water. If she said yes, and she offered to water all the camels too, she would be the right one. As he was praying, a beautiful young woman came to the well, and he filled her water pitcher. Abraham's servant went to her and said, "May I please have a drink?" "Yes, sir, and I will be glad to draw water for your camels too, as much as they want to drink." And while the servant watched her carefully, she kept drawing up more and more water until the camels had had enough after their long, hot trip. Seeing that she passed his test, the servant offered her some of the gifts he had brought and asked her who she was. Her name was Rebecca. He was pleased to find out that she was the daughter of Bethuel, a son of Nahor. That meant she was one of Abraham's grandniece and Isaac's cousin. He asked if he might stay overnight at her father's home because he wanted to ask her family to let her marry Isaac. Then he thanked God for helping him find Rebecca. Genesis chapter 24.